Sometimes the spiritual life feels like the greatest adventure of all. Like every moment is one of communion, and around every corner is an opportunity for an encounter with God, and it's all buzzing with excitement. You're going from high to high, from mountaintop to mountaintop, and you can't get enough of it. But other times, probably most of the time, it doesn't feel like that. Most of the time, the spiritual life feels like just life. Sometimes it can start to feel stagnant, as though you're doing all the right things, but getting none of the right outcomes. Like you're putting in the time, but you're not seeing the results that everyone promised. You hear the people on the stages or at the pulpit or in the screens say that following Jesus is going to be this incredible journey, and it just kind of feels meh sometimes. And I think it's in times like these that we often find ourselves grasping for something new, something that will pull us out of the mud that we feel like we're in. We feel like we're kind of just trudging along while everyone else is flying, and we think, well, we must be in the wrong lane. We must be doing the wrong thing. And there's no shortage of people trying to sell us, literally, some alternative. They have 12 steps, 5 steps, a 30-day program, this, that will be the thing that will transform your life. And we so desperately want it because it's the right thing to want. We should want to know God and be known by Him. And it's completely understandable to want that to happen faster. And so we start grasping at these things. But in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the danger of novelty to the spiritual life. I'll talk about my own experience. I've been on a journey for the past 5 years or so of looking through church history. And though on my channel that primarily shows up in intellectual ways of digging through the past for trying to find nuggets of information that will inform the present, that often takes on a theological flair, but in my day-to-day life, it's also impacted me on a spiritual level of taking on new practices and looking for ways to deepen my faith. You know, people who watch my videos, they'll come to it kind of for one of two reasons. A lot of them are looking to convert, and some of those people are looking to convert because they want to find the church that crosses all its T's, dots its I's, and finally answers all the questions that they've wanted and can have the perfect theology. But I think other people, and I'm partial to this group to be honest, are just looking to find Christ. And I think that's the absolute right reason, the best reason to go on this journey and to perhaps convert at some point, because it leads you closer to Christ. And I think that's all good. But I think there is a danger here when we expect it to be a magical solution for us. Again, my own journey, as I look through these things, I remember the first time that I prayed with icons. I've got some of them lit up behind me. And I remember burning the incense, right? And making the sign of the cross and going through these prayers, the Orthodox prayer book, and having this moment of actually being in tears and feeling so moved by this, by the words of the prayers, by the act of being before the icons, the smell of the incense. And it was this overwhelming spiritual experience. And then you do that every day for a month, and it's not always like that. And 2 months goes by, and you think, wait, was that just the smell of the incense? Was that just kind of this heightened moment I was in? And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel like it's working anymore. I remember praying the rosary early on, and I remember having this experience one night of feeling very anxious and praying the rosary and having this moment of this incredible peace. I've never talked about this on my channel before, but it was a just profound encounter. And then you pray the rosary all the time, and it's not like that anymore, and you're prone to give up on it. The first time you pray the Jesus prayer, maybe, and you say, this is it. This is the one thing that I was looking for. Maybe early on it feels really great, but you keep doing it and it gets stale. And the problem is, I think, that we equate this staleness as though there's something wrong in the practice. And we jump from practice to practice to practice, looking for the one that's the right fit for me. Maybe it wasn't the rosary. Maybe what I need is the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Maybe it's not the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Maybe I need the Jesus Prayer. Maybe it's not the Jesus Prayer. Maybe I need some other type of hesychastic practice where I'm just kind of even stilling my mind even more. Maybe it's not that. Maybe I need Lectio Divina, but maybe not Lectio Divina. Maybe it's Visio Divina. Maybe I'm more of a visual person, Maybe it's not Visio Divina. Okay. Well, maybe it's prayer walks. No, it's not prayer walks for me. Okay, well, maybe it's the Stations of the Cross. Like, you can go on forever in this. And here's the thing. They're all good. The problem isn't in the practices. The problem isn't in you for wanting something to work. The problem is not trusting the practices in the process. These things take time. We live in this TikTok world. We live in a world in which we have all of these videos that say, I did X for 30 days. Here's how it changed my life. But that's not how life change happens. I was coming across someone the other day, and I'm not here to bash them. I think what they were doing was good, but they had an experience for a couple weeks of going out off their phone, and now they're writing books about it and having all this thing. And it's like, does life change happen in a couple weeks? Like, we don't need more videos and books and courses and these things on, here's what I did for 30 days and it changed my life. Like, your life isn't going to change in 30 days. I hate to break it to you. What we need is, I did this thing for 30 years and here's who I became. And I think as we look to our guides in the tradition, as we look to the guides in our churches, we need to be looking at those people who have done what Eugene Peterson talks about, and quoting Friedrich Nietzsche of all people, that have a long obedience in the same direction. Years ago, Peterson talked about how we have a great appetite for spiritual experience, but little desire for an apprenticeship and a long obedience in the same direction. But that's what the Christian faith is about. Look, I haven't been around all that long. I'm 26 years old, and I know I have so much to learn. I'm not going to say I've found the solutions, but I will tell you that I've found what the solutions aren't. And the solution isn't to jump to a new practice every 30 days because the old one didn't work. The solution isn't to change your church tradition every year because the one that you were in isn't causing you to be a saint, and it must be a problem with the tradition and not a problem with you. The problem here is that the spiritual life, it takes place over the entirety of life. And sometimes growth feels like just doing the same thing. I grew up in a tradition that really talked down about the idea of just going through the motions. We juxtaposed that type of faith with our more dynamic faith, which was a personal relationship with Jesus, where we weren't just going through the motions. And I think both of these are lacking something. Of course, there's an aspect of faith that is a personal relationship, but it's not a relationship in the same way that you have with your wife, as much as we like to make that an illustration in sermons. It's different. We don't hear back from God as frequently as you hear back from your wife. It's not that easy. At the same time, it is more than just doing things for an absent God. It's not that we simply just read from this and hope for the best. It's got to be both. It's got to be a love affair, a true reforming of the heart in a relational sense of a truly desiring God, to want to be near to God, but also being willing to commit to doing the hard things, of showing up every day, even when it doesn't feel like anything's happening. And I guess my advice to you would be to remember the problem isn't with the practice. The problem isn't with you not growing in 30 days. The problem is not trusting the process of the practice. So I don't know what your spiritual formation looks like. I don't know what practices you're committed to. But what I would encourage you is, whatever it is, whether that's maybe you read the Book of Common Prayer in the morning, maybe you have a practice of Lectio Divina, maybe you do the Divine Mercy Chaplet, maybe it's the Rosary, maybe it's praying with icons, maybe it's the Orthodox Prayer Book. I don't know what it is, but here's what I do know. Any of those practices have been transformative in the life of saints. Just one of them. Just the Jesus Prayer. And of course, it's not the Jesus Prayer itself, right? It's the faith in us that's acting in this to unite us to Christ. Okay, I get that. But the practices are part of what form us. And any one of these practices, when combined with a true faith, when combined with a true love for Christ, is more than enough for you to experience transformative growth. Whether that's the rosary, whether it's praying with icons, whether it's Lectio Divina, any of these, I promise you, are capable of making saints when joined with faith, that which joins us to Christ. So don't give up on the practice. Whatever it is, commit to it. And I'm not saying 30 days, I'm not saying a week, I'm saying like the next year. And here's the thing. I think we jump ship from these practices because we think, and again, it's a good desire, we want to get close to God, but we think, well, what if this is the wrong one? And there's this kind of FOMO in us that says like, if I'm doing the Jesus prayer, but that's only working at this level, and I could be doing this, and that would be working at this, well, maybe I should try that, but maybe there's this one that's this. No. Any of them are just fine. They will get you there. Take a tried and tested practice from the heart of the Christian tradition, one that has formed saints over time, and know that you're not missing out. It's not like you're going to commit a year to the Jesus prayer and that's going to be a year wasted. I promise you it won't be. Or if you commit a year to the practice of Lectio Divina and you think, but maybe I should have been doing this other more transformative one that someone just wrote a book on and is going to change my spiritual life forever with 5 steps. Like, no, any of them are fine. Pick one and commit to it. And don't measure life change in the moment to moment. Don't look for a TikTok spirituality when you need the long form. Take a practice and journey with it for years and become someone different, not just change one aspect of your experience day to day.